Have you ever felt lost between chapters of your life, like you finished one part but the next hasn't started yet? That's where we find the Book of Ruth. It's a small book, nestled right between the chaos of Judges and the rise of Kings in Samuel. It's a quiet story in a noisy time. The world around it was filled with battles and big decisions. But in this little corner of the Bible, God shows us something powerful. He shows us that He is working. He is working in the ordinary lives of ordinary people. He is present in the small acts of kindness and the simple choices of the heart. This isn't a story of armies and crowns, but of family, faith, and finding a home. It's a gentle reminder that God never overlooks the small stuff. The story begins in a time of famine, a time when the land was empty and so were people's stomachs. A woman named Naomi, with her husband and 2 sons, leaves her home in Bethlehem to find food in a foreign land called Moab. They were searching for survival, for a better life. But sometimes our plans don't go the way we think they will. Life can bring unexpected turns and deep sorrow. Tragedy strikes Naomi's family not once but 3 times. Her husband dies. Then her 2 sons, who had married Moabite women named Orpah and Ruth, also die. Can you imagine the weight of that grief? Naomi was left a widow, in a strange land with her 2 daughters-in-law. Her heart was empty, just like the land she had left behind. This is where our real story begins, with a choice. Naomi, feeling bitter and broken, decides to return to her homeland of Bethlehem. She tells her daughters-in-law to go back to their own families. She believes she has nothing left to offer them. Orpah, with tears, kisses Naomi goodbye and leaves. It was a sensible choice. But Ruth does something different, something radical, something that changes everything. She clings to Naomi. She refuses to leave her side. She sees past the emptiness and the pain. She sees a person who needs love and loyalty. Ruth's decision wasn't based on what was easy or practical. It was based on a deep, unwavering commitment that came straight from her heart. In that moment, Ruth makes one of the most beautiful promises in all of Scripture. She tells Naomi, "Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God." Think about that. She was leaving everything she knew. Her home, her family, her culture, even her gods. She was choosing to step into a future that was completely unknown, all for the sake of love, all for the sake of loyalty. This is the heart of the story. It's a powerful picture of what it means to put someone else before yourself. It's a story that shows us how one faithful choice can set in motion a plan bigger than we could ever imagine. Naomi and Ruth arrive in Bethlehem with nothing but each other. They are poor, they are widows. Ruth is a foreigner, an outsider from Moab. In those days that was not an easy thing to be. People might look at her with suspicion. They might not welcome her. But Ruth doesn't sit and worry. She acts. She tells Naomi she will go to the fields to gather leftover grain, a practice God had commanded to provide for the poor. This wasn't a glamorous job. It was hard work under a hot sun, stooping and gathering what the harvesters left behind. It was a humble act, born out of a desire to provide for the woman she now called family. She didn't wait to be rescued. She put her faith into action. As God's quiet plan would have it, Ruth ends up in a field belonging to a man named Boaz. He was a relative of Naomi's late husband. Boaz was a good man, a man of character and kindness. He notices Ruth right away. He sees her hard work. He sees her dedication. He asks his workers, "Who is that young woman?" They tell him she is the Moabite who came back with Naomi. They tell him how she has worked tirelessly since morning. Boaz is moved. He has already heard about her incredible loyalty to Naomi, how she left her own land to care for her mother-in-law. Her reputation for kindness had traveled ahead of her. Boaz does more than just notice. He shows extraordinary kindness. He tells Ruth to stay in his fields, where she will be safe. He instructs his workers to protect her and to let her drink from their water jars. He even tells them to pull out extra stalks of grain from their bundles and leave them for her to find. This was not just charity, it was grace. It was a helping hand offered with dignity and respect. Boaz saw a person in need and went above and beyond to help. He was living out God's command to love his neighbor, even a neighbor from a foreign land. His kindness was a reflection of God's own heart. Through this series of events, a beautiful story unfolds. Ruth's loyalty leads her to Boaz's field. Boaz's kindness provides for her and Naomi. Naomi, seeing this, begins to have hope again. She realizes God has not abandoned them after all. She sees a path forward, a way for Ruth to find a permanent home. The story continues with Boaz acting as a kinsman redeemer, a special role in that culture where a relative would marry a widow to protect her and carry on the family name. Boaz marries Ruth, and they have a son named Obed. this little boy would become the grandfather of King David, placing Ruth directly in the family line of Jesus. The foreign widow, through her loyalty, became a hero of the faith. What can we learn from this simple, beautiful story? The first and most powerful lesson is about loyalty. Think of Ruth. She had every reason to leave Naomi. It would have been the logical thing to do, but her loyalty was not based on logic. It was based on love. She made a promise and she kept it, no matter the cost. In our world, commitment can sometimes feel temporary. We are told to look out for ourselves first, but Ruth shows us a different way. She shows us the strength and beauty of staying true to our promises, of standing by the people we love, especially when they are going through hard times. God honors that kind of faithfulness. Another lesson shines brightly from this story: kindness. Every character who follows God shows it. Ruth shows kindness to Naomi. Boaz shows kindness to Ruth. Even the people of Bethlehem show kindness to them. This isn't a small thing. Kindness is God's love in action. It's seeing a need and meeting it. Boaz didn't have to help Ruth, but he chose to. His small acts of kindness, offering water, ensuring her safety, leaving extra grain, changed her life. It shows us that we don't need to do grand, heroic things to make a difference. A simple kind word or a helping hand can be a vessel for God's grace. It can bring hope to someone who feels lost and alone. And underneath it all, there is a deep and abiding trust in God's plan. This is what we call providence. It means that God is quietly working behind the scenes, weaving all the pieces of our lives together for a greater purpose. Naomi felt that God had dealt bitterly with her. She couldn't see a future. But God was there all along. He guided Ruth to the right field. He had placed a kind man like Boaz in the right place at the right time. He turned Naomi's emptiness into fullness. Sometimes, like Naomi, we can only see the pain in front of us. But the story of Ruth encourages us to trust that God has a plan. Even when we can't see it, He is working for our good. So, the Book of Ruth is more than just a sweet story from the past. It's a roadmap for living a life of faith. It shows us that our character matters, our loyalty, our kindness, our trust. These are the things that God uses. He can take our small, faithful choices and use them to build His kingdom. Ruth probably had no idea that her decision to stick with Naomi would have an eternal impact. She was just trying to do the next right thing, and that is what God asks of us: to be faithful in the small moments, to love the people He has placed in our lives, to trust that He is holding our story in His hands. How can we bring the lessons of Ruth into our lives right now, on this very day? It starts with looking at our relationships. We all have a Naomi in our lives, someone who might be hurting, feeling lonely, or going through a difficult season. It could be an aging parent, a friend who lost a job, or a neighbor who is grieving. Like Ruth, we can choose loyalty. We can choose to stick with them, to listen, to offer our presence. It doesn't mean we have to solve all their problems. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply say, "I'm here for you. I'm not going anywhere." That is loyalty in action. We can also practice the kindness of Boaz. Our world is full of people who feel like outsiders, people who are struggling to find their place. Maybe it's a new student at school, a new family in the neighborhood, or a coworker who seems left out. We can be a Boaz for them. We can offer a welcoming smile. We can invite them for a cup of coffee. We can make sure they feel seen and valued. These small acts of intentional kindness can be like water in a desert to someone's soul. They reflect the heart of a God who notices the unnoticed and loves the unloved. We get to be His hands and feet when we choose to be kind. And what about trusting God's plan? Life today is full of uncertainty. We worry about our future, our families, our finances. It's easy to feel like Naomi did, that things are out of control and maybe God has forgotten us. The story of Ruth is a gentle hand on our shoulder, reminding us to trust. Trust that even when a door closes, God is preparing to open a new one. Trust that He is weaving our story with all its joys and sorrows into something beautiful. Just as He guided Ruth to a field of grace, He is guiding you. Your job is not to see the whole map, but to take the next faithful step. So, let the story of Ruth encourage you. Let it inspire you. Don't underestimate the power of your choices. Your loyalty matters. Your kindness matters. Your faith matters. God can use your ordinary life to do extraordinary things. He can take your simple act of sticking by a friend and turn it into a legacy of love. He can take your small gesture of kindness and use it to change someone's world. Live with a loyal heart, act with kind hands, and walk with a trusting spirit. Just like Ruth, you can be part of God's amazing unfolding story of redemption and grace.